Hi there, very good morning to all our viewers. Welcome to Hot Stocks right here on ET Now, the radio in the Mumbai News Centre, and Neeraj is back after his long break.
Oh yes, it's good to be back. Good to see Mumbai in rains as well. I hope that's the situation all across India as well. But it's flat for the markets, must say. There's hardly any movement on the index. Mid caps and small caps, yes, selective movements are happening. You're seeing that on the mid cap space in particular. For example, in HCL Info down 6% or a Dishman up 4%, but it's fairly muted movement. Okay, some news, of course, that came on Bajaj Finserv as well. Mind you, that stock is on a bit of a tear. Just noticed how well it's moved in the last 2 weeks. And Bajaj Finserv, news about the rights issue. They're going to consider a rights issue. 1.5% higher, not necessarily on that news, but yes, one of the strong performers over the last 2 to 3 weeks for sure. But the markets today are fairly flat, Tanvi.
Oh, yes, indeed. Let's just take a look at some of the key brokerage calls that we've got in this morning. Goldman Sachs has reiterated a buy on Reliance Industries with a target price of 936 rupees a share. A major fire in Venezuela's largest refinery is likely to impact global gasoline supplies. And so Asian refiners like Reliance are likely to benefit in the near term on account of that. That's what GS is saying. HSBC, in the meanwhile, has maintains a buy rating on Bharti Airtel with the price target set at 345 rupees a share. Broker says that threats of competition are overdone. HSBC continues to prefer Bharti in the telecom space. Brokerage also says that focused approach by the company should drive equilibrium for earnings. That's an overview coming in there. Let's touch base with Darshan Yathan as always for a quick perspective on what dealers are recommending this morning. Darshan, come to you first. What are you picking up from your sources?
See, Tanveer, dealers are reiterating what Goldman Sachs has said on Reliance Industries. They say that the blast a blast in Venezuela means positive news for Reliance Industries, at least in the short term. The GRMs will increase. That is why you're seeing that Reliance at least is holding steady in trade today. The next one that they're speaking about is Aurobindo Pharma, in which, a couple of institutional desks have indicated that domestic mutual funds are actively accumulating Aurobindo Pharma. So levels of 118 to 120 in the short term is something that dealers are seeing on Aurobindo Pharma. And then last one is Ranbaxy, which is more of a long-term view. And some of these big long-only HNIs are actually accumulating Ranbaxy at this point of time. They're saying very good momentum to come into the entire pharma industry. And they are expecting very, very good returns to come in for Ranbaxy. They've kept room for averaging, but this is more of a long-term play.
Okay, thanks a lot for that, Darshan. So that's the view from some of the dealers that Darshan has spoken to. Yatin, what about you? What are your sources telling you?
Well, Neeraj, we are seeing some bit of traction as far as Apollo Tyres is concerned, especially on the future and option side. We are seeing some bit of long, build-up happening there. And dealers have been quite bullish on the stock, given the fact that rubber prices have corrected significantly in the month of May. And that is why, possibly there could be some short-term up move, is what dealers are anticipating to the extent of 5 to 6% on Apollo Tyres. We also have Prestige Estates, and Bank of America Merrill Lynch has initiated a coverage on this one with a target price of 157, which is roughly a 40% upside from the current market price. And what we gather is that most of the dealing rooms have been pushing the stock aggressively, and there could be some 10 to 15% short-term gains on this particular stock, given the fact that the company is trading at a significant discount to its net asset value, and that is why some bit of traction is expected there. And one stock which is in news since last week is IFCI, and the stock is down a good 2 to 3% down in today's trading session, despite management clarifications on the government conversion issue and the equity dilution fears. But dealers are expecting the stock to remain under pressure, given the fact that we have seen a strong amount of short build-up in the counter, and there could be some near-term pains as far as the stock performance is concerned for IFCI.
Yeah, I don't think the markets would be too appeased with the fact that the government is stepping up control. Yatin, thanks a lot for getting us that sense. Some stocks that Yatin's dealing room sources have advised about. Okay, let's get in Deepak Mohani as well as Prakash Gaba with their technical sense. In a bit, we also have an exclusive story on a media company which has been a strong performer, must say. But Deepak and Prakash, to start off hot stocks and the technical ideas thereof. Gentlemen, morning. Thanks much for joining in. Deepak, what does it look like? It's a lackluster market on the large caps, select activity on mid caps. You think that would continue for the day?
Seems that way. It's not just here, but there has been an overall drop in volatility, very sharp drop in volatility, one might say, over the last couple of sessions. Even global markets, they've all stalled. So I think this sort of thing may last for a little while before it slowly expands. So I think we just got to get used to these flat markets for a week or two.
Pull up the stock price of an HCL Infosystems and tell me what the charts are saying, because It's not a stock which has performed really well, was anyways trading at its 52-week low. And I believe with the current price movement today, it is trading at a new 52-week low, 6.5% off. Do you think it can slide down more?
Well, it's been making fresh lows anyway over the last 5-6 months. So nothing special in that sense in today's move. It's not broken down to a new low. It's been making these consistently since December or thereabouts. So it is still to come out of that very persistent downtrend.
Okay. Let's talk about that story, but before I do that, Prakash, if you can hear me, what's the chart of a Hathway cable looking like? Because we're talking about some stocks in which there is news that is likely to come out. What about Hathway cable? How does it look on the charts?
Well, Hathway cables, basically the structure is positive. The up move that we have seen is good enough. We have seen some kind of a reaction coming in from 200 zones to 180 zones. This reaction looks like it's more of a reactive down move. Basically means there is some support out there closer to these zones of around 180 or 170, 175 zones. We should see back to around 200 zones. Down move is sluggish, so I would say hold on. But there are buying opportunities on the downside if we get a dip.
All right, Hathway Cable is a stock in focus after disappointing Q1, which was weighed down by high expenses of digitalization and rising finance costs. Hathway Cables is now mulling price hike to boost revenues. We're joined by Megha Memoria, who has more details on this. Megha, what are you picking up from your sources?
Well, Samir, what we are gathering is that Hathway is looking at hiking the prices of their set-top boxes by 100 rupees per box, essentially meaning a 12.5 to 13% kind of a hike, given that the average price of a set-top box is close to 800 rupees per box. Now this hike essentially would be taken in the 4 metros and might actually be announced in the next 2 to 3 months there. Now this hike of 100 rupees will boost the company's revenues by 5 to 7 crores, essentially meaning a 10% kind of a jump coming in the revenues of the company.
Oh yes, it's probably a 12% uptick that would come about. Megha, just wondering, any inkling about this being the first of a series of hikes, or is this about it that the management would do? And any idea on that front?
Well, in the last couple of months, the company has already taken 1 hike. So the second hike coming in for Hathway Cables there. Earlier also a 100 rupee hike was taken, and another 100 rupee hike is what we are gathering from our sources.
Okay, so 1 hike done already, another hike in the offing in the next 2 or 3 months. So maybe a 12-30% uptick in a set-top box cost. Thanks for that, Megha. The stock's seen a bit of a spike on that news. It's a dull market, mind you, but Hathway Cable mulling a price hike, as Megha said, really. Q1 was a bit of a disappointment because of the high expense of digitization and the rising finance costs, but they are looking to offset that with price hike in the set-top boxes. 12 or 13% kind of an uptick. Take a break on that note. We come back, talk to a couple of managements which have been very active. Start off with an IT company in just moments from now.